Hello and welcome to the June 9th meeting of the Public Works and Finance Committee meeting. Happy opening day for the Hamilton Low Aquatic Center. I'm very excited the pool's open. First thing on our agenda, we've got approval of the meeting minutes from May 12th as presented by Lori. Thank you, Lori, for preparing them. I don't have any edits. Nope. All good to approve. Love it. Our next action item is the disbursement report from May 2025 with Sarah Decker, as improvised by Renee. He's going to come and present the May disbursement
Yeah,
report.
you guys have to put up with me.
We are honored to have you. That's what we mean by it.
Okay, so the expenditures for May, total expenditures were $3,639,916. The largest expenditures, we had a lump sum agreement with the University of Idaho for the Deacon Avenue project for $355,600. We purchased a Ford van for $63,100. We paid for unleaded fuel for $27,784. We had 3 mixer gearboxes. Don't ask me what those are. Each one for $38,850, one for $34,210, one for $36,300. We paid the auditors for $33,150. Consolidated Supply, South Moscow service line materials, $54,665, and application number 2 for the City Shop project for $225,797.
Sounds like lots of projects.
Questions?
I don't have questions this week.
No, I don't either.
Great. Okay. Are we happy to accept as presented?
Yep.
Beautiful. Thank you, Renee. Okay, item number 3, we've got Leading Idaho Bridge Program Grant Award Agreement with Elisa Anderson and Scott Bontrager. Welcome, welcome.
Who can answer that mixing gearbox thing?
Yeah, gearbox, a
Mixer gearbox.
our staff thing, or is that an MVFD thing? What is the gearbox?
I would assume it's for the dump trucks for if it's mixing for spraying the salt spray. I don't know. That's just my guess.
It's my next band name.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I got
Mixer gearbox.
Mixer gearbox. Yeah, EP's coming out soon. Okay, sorry. Elisa
So,
Scott, what do you got?
so back in 2022, the Idaho Senate passed a bill 1359, which allocated $200 million of one-time funding for the Leading Idaho Local Bridge Program. And we submitted an application for the Sand Road Bridge. And we recently heard that we knew that we had been awarded, but we didn't know that we had an agreement that had been actually sent to Nate's email. And we had asked about it and we didn't, they acted like,
Oh, geez.
there was an agreement. So
They never followed up on their end. And
Yeah.
so
So anyhow, we're before you now with that agreement. This is actually a great program. There's no match required, and they're doing the design and construction through LTAC, who is managing the program for the Idaho Transportation Department. They've asked, as in Exhibit A states, a little bit of assistance from staff and attending meetings. And if we do need right of way, they've asked for us to work on that.
which is all fully reimbursable.
Yes, fully
Oh.
reimbursable.
Ruby.
And so I'm going to turn over to Scott. He has a little bit more details on the design of the bridge and those types of things.
Yeah, just kind of a quick update on things. I mean, to this point, we are roughly at 30% design right now. Just kind of as a reminder what the project is, it's not only the bridge, but also the highway district had the bridge just to the west as well. And then the project is also including the roadway realignment between the 2 bridges, which includes removing some of the salt knob down there where it's hard to see around the corner.
Because city boundary ends like just after the Sand Road right now, right? So
Yeah.
so the 2 bends in Sand Road are the highway district. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So as part of these projects, I mean, right now they've got it estimated between the bridge and the roadway portion at about 3.6 million, which is a nice chunk. And the bridge itself and the roadway are going to be widened to our arterial standards. So right now the bridge is only 24 feet wide, basically a vehicle bridge.
Mhm.
The next one's going to be to our normal bridge standard that we've been seeing with all these bridges, which includes the bike lanes. It includes the sidewalks on both sides. It's going to meet the most current standards, most current crash standards and everything. So we don't have to worry about federal funding in the future for anything on it. And the current bridge was built in 1971. So it's also seen a lot of wear over the years from different vehicles and had a few repairs here and there. So
I have a couple questions. So, I'm remembering the last time we did a significant bridge project was 6th Street, that, getting it up to snuff. And I know there were a bunch of other reasons that 6th Street had some surprises and why that project took so long. Are similar like market conditions that contributed to material shortages and things like that for 6th Street something we're still facing for Sand Road, or do we anticipate it being a little less painful?
no, things have caught up, and it's a totally different design for this
Okay.
particular bridge too.
So different in that it's because 6th Street, we did still bring it up to snuff, but this is what makes it different than the 6th Street design.
The type of foundation system will be different.
Cool.
So they'll be operating that differently. The type of superstructure, so above the foundation, is going to be a little bit different. Previously, it was all cast in place concrete. This is going to be stuff that is precast and brought out and,
Oh, cool.
craned on site and built. So a little bit different style.
And
And Sixth Street also has some utility conflicts, some water lines that need to be relocated. We are really on the edge of town, so we have no utility lines there. There were some fiber optic lines and a water main that had to be moved as part of Sixth. That was known, but it just took more time to get that work completed.
Yeah.
I think some of the fiber optic was a little bit discovered during the course of the project.
Yes,
But
that fiber optic was very significantly sized fiber optic too. That was also surrounded by asbestos.
cool. We love that. We
Yeah.
love surprises.
We don't really have that same type of stuff in this location.
So less surprises all around, fingers
Yes.
crossed. And so my other question being, it is, I'm thinking of the folks that live still within the city, but on the north side of Sand Road. When the bridge project begins, are they going to have to go all the way out and around, or like, is it with the other conversations happening with the next bridge with the county district? Will there be a bridge intact that they can still get to and from?
We're working on different styles of
Okay.
phasing to be able to get everybody through that area, including possibly looking at phasing through the new subdevelopment down there.
Oh, sure.
So, and maybe even talking with property owners about some temporary bridges across certain areas. So,
Cool.
I mean, that's part of the process right now.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I guess you said we're at 38% design. So that's fair.
And this is going on their third year of building these bridges. And so I think they've ran into, if any hurdles, they've probably learned now what to
Maybe.
look for as they move
I
through
think
the
they've done hundreds
projects.
of these bridges now.
Yeah.
Cool. Those are, my two big concerns were making sure we don't disrupt the flow of business for the folks and life as the folks who live over there, and then understanding the differences between that and the 6th Street Bridge. Any questions from you guys?
Yeah, just to follow up on the questions about going out there, I know that traffic's increased significantly on that road, including a lot of larger rigs, whether it's farm equipment type rigs. Will they be able to go on the smaller bridges, or were they actually going to have to go through town and down the highway if they're headed out that direction?
That's part of what we're exploring with this next
Yeah.
phase is we move from 30 to 60%. But yeah, those same questions have all been brought up. So they'll be exploring all that.
Okay.
Load restriction wise, I think most everything out in the area west and everything through town has been brought up for the sizing
Yeah.
of the type of loads that would come through.
All right, cool. I know it needs to be done. It seems like, yay that it's happening. It's just like, wow, that could be a lot of really big things coming through town.
Yeah, I'm super excited I'm glad we got the grant award. My last question would be, has this also helped initiate some conversations between the highway district and Whitman County, to your point about the rigs that are going through, and cutting through, coming up 95 and then cutting across to Johnson, what is that? And Ketchum 27 on the Washington side. Is this helping initiate some conversation to make sure we're building a bridge once to meet whatever that traffic flow could look like?
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at the broader picture right now, working with Whitman County and the Highway District on
Awesome.
this. There's obviously a lot of different studies going on right now between WashDOT, ITD, counties, cities, everybody kind of trying to find the best bypasses, truck paths.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. I know Whitman County's put significant investments into what we have a study with them that we're kind of partnering on right now for that portion. And
Yeah, I mean, Whitman County's wrapped up their freight study. I think they've indicated that the Sand Road project that they had envisioned was going to pick up potentially up to 20% of the traffic heading that direction. So I think it's going to advance as one of their alternatives as they
Okay.
move forward. We will be working with Whitman County to, I'm not sure if it's raise or build at this time around, but to make an application coming up this early winter, spring. Our focus is going to be really from city limits inward to fill in sidewalks, curbing, all those gaps in the corridor so that that roadway is fully improved and has pedestrian facilities and can be in a better position to handle that traffic. And I know the Highway District is looking at their segment between them and Whitman County as well. And the intent is we put in a singular grant application with the
Cool.
3 different entities so we can upgrade all of our facilities to be able to accommodate that into the future.
Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, I mean, no matter what, a bridge built in 2025, 6, 7 will still be in much better shape than, what'd you say it was originally built? 70?
1971.
Yeah, and it's been gnarly for a while. There's, the washboard vibe's definitely there. Just want to make sure whatever we build, we're not stuck rebuilding to bring up to a different set of standards for different freight loads. So
Just one quick thing. I know that 30%, so this might not be a legit question, but end date?
they're planning on finishing up design to be able to actually bid it out this fall.
Cool. That's great.
So potential working on the
Construction
bridge
by the
next
end
summer.
of construction season in 26.
Awesome.
Ish.
Thanks.
Great.
And is the county's bridge still a year behind? As far
That's
as we
kind
know?
of what they've got programmed so far, yes.
The county's bridge was funded under the actual bridge program that LTEC does, and it's a different kind of money, and there are more hoops that they
Oh.
have to jump through. So, yeah.
cool. Well,
Great.
yeah, huge kudos for doing the thing.
I'm all for it.
Any other questions?
No, we
Okay.
can recommend it for approval.
I'm comfortable with that. And
Let's go back to consent.
I think I'm okay with consent in this case because I think we've mentioned it.
Well, and
being
it's
a
only
priority
30%.
topic.
There's really nothing to go on.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. We recommend approval and on consent. Everyone comfortable with that?
Yep.
Groovy. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Lisa.
Yay.
Annalise is going to stick around, and Chief's going to come hang out to hear item number 4, Idaho Firefighter License Plate Grant Program.
Good afternoon again.
Hello.
So this is the 4th year that we've applied for this smaller grant. It's through the Idaho Fire Chiefs Association. And they get so much money from the license plate fund that is then designated for this program. And so it's just for fire education and safety for firefighters, fire chiefs, for the public. This year, and Dan had chosen, he couldn't make it here today, so Brian is here. Realistic rescue mannequins. And when they sent this to me, I did a little bit of research. These are pretty. I included a little picture in the back for
Yeah.
you guys because I
Yeah.
wasn't really sure what would this look like. And with the grant packet, then I also included because the application is online and you can't print it or anything. So I included what that had on the website. And they want to purchase 2 different weights and 2 of them. So I'll let Brian kind of share with you what they'll be doing.
Afternoon.
Hiya.
Hi.
So the mannequins we do have now are 10 years old. We bought them right after I got here, and they're wore out. Hate to say it, but I'm glad to say it. But these are going to be a little bit more durable, I think, than the ones that we have now. So we'll start replacing them. They're good for rescue stuff. They're good for putting in extrication into a vehicle, and we put them in some interesting situations to try to figure out how how to extract them or remove them from a building or whatever. So it's a little more realistic or life because the other mannequins are similar to what you see like in a department store. So they're
Oh,
kind of rigid.
So you're not,
Um,
if you're practicing like in,
Yeah, the arm's kind of sticking out this way, and
they're
it's
not going to
it's
actually
it's not
behave
as
like throwing a person over your shoulder.
yeah,
and
it's
stuff.
just not quite as realistic, I guess you'd say. It works because it's weighted. These two weights. This also will help us with our agility test, which is required for anybody that starts and comes in. So yeah, that's why the weighted and so forth. So it's a pretty
Makes
good
sense.
opportunity.
Yeah.
makes
I know
sense to
the
me.
license plate grant, we usually hand out about $50,000 every year across the state. So
Have we been you said this is the 4th year
Mhm.
and we've been able to,
Yeah.
okay. I can't remember if
Mhm.
I'm mixing this one up with the firehouse subs, what we've
Yes.
tried for and don't always get. So
Dan has previously purchased training,
our safety.
fire
Cool.
safety training, flyers, handouts, different things that we use at the Kids Safety Fair
Mhm.
and then at National Night Out and at the breakfast. And so,
Great.
awesome.
I'm for it.
Yeah, I think we should recommend it for approval and put it on consent.
I'm good with that too. And then we will keep our, when do we, let's see, the applications due end of the
June
month.
27th.
When do we, it seems like it's got to be fingers crossed, it's a pretty quick turnaround.
We score them in July
Okay,
and then typically in August,
by August. Okay,
usually.
good. So in
In theory, by September.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you. Yeah, okay with consent agenda, everybody? Yep. Good stuff. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Elisa. And our 5th item on the agenda is the second amended professional services agreement for the Moscow City Shop, presented by Bill Belknap.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
As council's aware, we are working on a shop update project that includes the construction of a new facility for fleet and parks, and then renovation of the existing shop facility to accommodate streets and storm. We are working on the remodel of the existing shop. So we've been working through that with LCA. LCA is the Lombard Conrad Architects is the firm that we hired on the project for the new facility. Started off with a new facility and the cladding updates to the existing shop. And we are looking to amend that agreement again to add services for both design, construction administration for the interior renovation portion of the existing shop. This would add $70,102 to the contract amount. The original contract was $320,610. We had a small amendment to add $22,631 to the agreement to add some landscaping and HVAC system revisions. And so this would be an additional $70,102, bringing the grand total to $413,343 for the project. With this, and we've already spent a fair amount of time working through kind of strategizing the best way of remodeling this existing shop, trying to take advantage of the structure as it is and to minimize the cost of ultimate construction. I think we have a good plan right now that would provide a good working space for streets and storm that will remain in that facility. So that is that basis of the $70,102 for design. Construction is estimated to be just about a little over $900,000. That is in the FY26 budget. You'll see anticipated to be bid this fall for construction in the spring. And then with that, we will be wrapped up with the shop for probably quite a few years to come. So
And we don't expect any other amended or,
I can never say never, but this should be this should be the only thing that we have at this time.
questions?
So an additional $70,000 for design, and then the anticipated project will be $900,000.
Correct.
I remember one of the, like the agreement was to we're not just talking about hitting go on building the new shop, but yes, making like the existing city shop not quite so unpleasant a space for our folks to work. I guess I'm trying to remember if this was going to be an expected scope increase or bill, or if this is.
Yes, this has been anticipated. We did launch just because of the time frame of getting the ARPA funds allocated to get that construction underway for the new shop facility. And there's a sequencing. We need to get the new facility built. We need to move everybody out of the existing into the
So you
new
can
so we
renovate.
can renovate the existing.
Okay.
So it's always been the sequence of events that remodel was going to trail after construction of the new facility. So
Right.
getting us lined up here to get that design complete so that we can bid it in the winter, which would be our best opportunity. New shop should be ready for occupancy early next year. We'll be able to then transition everybody over into that new facility. Streets and storm will occupy some of the existing work bays for a while the interior renovation work is happening on the existing building. And then by the end of next summer, we should be completely done.
You guys
So
remembering
Not a
the.
surprise then. That's
No.
what we're saying. It's a
Yeah,
Cliff Note version.
nope.
Yeah.
Always anticipated that we were going to need to get in and renovate the existing facility.
Yeah, I remember it in kind of like the. a la
Yeah, I
carte
do. I just
bid
can't remember
package.
where everything lined
Yeah,
up.
on the
So
tier.
Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
we took the cladding, so the bidding, because we
Right.
were trying to take advantage of the economies of scale for the metal work and the metal cladding system on the exterior. So we bid both of those. So
Okay.
the exterior was covered underneath the existing, but the interior remodel renovation work was not. So because that was going to be kind of a unique remodel on its own. Not a huge efficiency of scale working with the construction of the new facility because it's working. It's not steel stud and metal frame structure. It's wood framed, and so it's a different contractor. So
And knowing that
Um,
we needed the building to be vacated, but so like why bid it
Correct.
now, knowing that it would be at least a year to do the thing.
yep. So if we work through the design now through the winter, we'll be able to bid it for construction. That'll be next spring. By that time, new shop will be complete, and existing occupants can transition over to the new facility while that remodel work occurs.
And so the $70,102 we had anticipated and had budgeted for. accordingly.
Correct. Yep, it's been on the CIP and it's in the FY26 budget that
Okay.
you just received as well.
Lovely. Okay.
Great.
I'm comfortable recommending approval. Do we,
I don't care.
yeah, what is
I'd like to see it on regular agenda
I'm-
so we can go over all of it again.
I'm good with that. I mean, it's a part of a bigger project
big
and it's
deal,
quite
yeah.
expensive, so.
Yeah. And that's a big chunk of money that when I first saw, I went, is that new? But
Strategery, we're strategery.
I'll make
rising.
sure
Yeah.
Cody will be available that night because I will be out of town for the next council meeting, but I'm sure he can be able to cover that.
This would fall on the 16th.
Correct.
Okay, groovy. And we're comfortable with this committee recommending approval as presented?
I am.
Okay, and I think the draft agenda, the agenda we had published included a sixth item and,
If I can provide a little background. So the council back on May 5th approved a contribution of $5,000 towards a intercity transit service that Coast was looking to establish between Colfax, Pullman, and Moscow, also hitting Albion. So we'd prepared a services agreement to document that payment for that amount. We had sent that to Coast for their review and comment. And I learned just late last week on Friday that they've had a change in executive leadership and Coast will no longer be pursuing establishing that service at this time. So this agreement is not necessary for us to approve. And so we can just leave that one alone.
works. And so the $5,000 will go back to the $10,000. We had previously allocated 10,000 for incidentals for council.
So yeah,
Not
the
incidental.
council has 10,000 for what's called non-prioritized projects. It's a
Yes,
line
that
item in the legislative budget for anything that comes up during the course of the year that hadn't been anticipated or budgeted. The council had indicated that that's where that 5,000 would come from, so we will not expend it.
Go back to
It's
that.
still available if anything comes up before the end of the fiscal year, or it'll just end up as fund balance towards capital projects.
Groovy. That sounds great. Any other needed updates from staff to the
Nope.
group? Okay. Then we will be adjourned at 4:23. Thanks, everybody.